Imagine you are talking to your friend on a phone call. Your voice is the input signal, but your phone cannot directly send your voice as it is. So, input signal can be your voice or any email you want to send. It can be any message, or we can say any email. Now, this input signal goes to input transducer, which can be a microphone, any camera, or any keyboard that we are using to type our message. Now, this message goes to transmitter. When it goes to transmitter, there are many subparts of transmitter. Transmitter is not an alone component of this process. It has many subparts. For example, there could be amplification. There could be amplification of the signal, and there could be modulation process. Modulation simply means combining your message signal with a carrier signal so that it can travel long distance efficiently. Now the signal is ready and gets transmitted through a channel. The channel can be anything like wire or optical fiber, or can be air also in wireless communication case. But here is the problem: as the signal travels, it faces noise and distortion. Also, its strength decrease. So this is called attenuation, and this type of attenuation occurs at channel end. Attenuation simply means, for example, if you speak loudly at one end of a long hall, your voice becomes weak at the other end. Similarly, signal alone, when it travels, it loses strength over a distance. That's why we need repeaters. Repeaters are placed between the transmitter and receiver. But we are not going to write about the repeaters after the channel. So we are going to write it separately. We use repeaters to regenerate the original signal. Now, finally, the signal reaches the receiver. The receiver does the opposite process. It demodulates and reconstructs the original message. So the demodulation process happens at receiver end, and where it reconstructs the original signal. Now, at the receiver end, we have output transducer. The examples of output transducer can be a monitor or any speaker. These are examples of output transducer. Hence, we get our final signal, which is output. Now we are going to study these parts of this schematic diagram in detail. Let's understand what happens inside the channel. So there are three important factors that affect signal transmission. First is bandwidth. Bandwidth means the range of frequencies a channel can carry. For example, a typical voice signal lies between 0 to 3 kHz. But the entire human audible range is from 20 Hz to 20 kHz, which is a audible signal. Audible range, we can say. This means human voice range is in between somewhere 0 to 3 kHz, and the entire audible spectrum that human can hear, that is the range is 20 to 20 kHz. Second point is length of the channel. That means as distance increase, the signal becomes weaker due to attenuation. Let's see third point. Third is data rate. This tells us how fast information is being transmitted. This is an overview of the channel, and these are the factors that affects channel, which are bandwidth, length of the channel, and data rate. Now let's move to the receiver side. Here at the receiver, the signal is first demodulated. That means let's start writing about the receiver. So as I said, at the receiver, signal is first demodulated. That means we separate the original message from the carrier signal. We will study about the how carrier contains a message signal and carries it to the receiver end. So after this decoding, the signal comes in digital form. If we are doing this process for analog to digital conversion, and when we get it in digital form, in 0-1 binary form, you can say, a digital to analog converter is used. We will study about this in detail. This is as I said, this is just an overview, and all these parts have their important role, so we need to study them in very detail. But until we are not going to make an map in our brain, in our mind, we cannot understand this process. So then comes digital to analog converter, which converts the digital signal back into analog. Now next, the signal is amplified to increase its strength. At receiver end, the signal is amplified to increase its strength. Finally, we get the original message through an output device like a speaker. Let's write it here. We get an output, let's say, through an speaker.